championship Sudoku puzzles can be a little tough to figure out. You usually do not know how easy they are and what special trick you need to solve them. You can make progress every time if you have a good technique. The less pencil marks you make, the faster you can solve these puzzles because you have less to erase. I will show you the best way to solve this classic from round 5 of the 2023 Sudoku Grand Prix without using any pencil marks. Click below if you want to give it a go, and with that, it's solving time. First thing you want to do is look to see where you have the most givens. You probably notice in column 2 and column 7, we have 7 given candidates. And so that means we only have to figure out 2 of these to finish up this column. And since we have a 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 here in column 2 already, but we don't have a 3, and there's a 3 in row 9, we can solve this cell for a 3 and solve this cell for a 6. We come over here to column 7, and it's nice that's in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an 8 or 9. We can't solve that yet because there's no 8 or 9 cutting across row 8 or 7. But I'm going to highlight that, and we'll come back to that. Next place you want to look where they have a lot of restrictions is going to be across row 7, and then also we'll come up here to row 1. In row 7, you might notice that you have a 3, which prevents a 3 from right here, and then a 3 can't be in this row, and you already have a 3 anyway, and then you'll look that you have a 3 here in column 9, so that can't be a 3. So we can solve for a 3 right there, and this is going to leave a 2 and a 9 across there. And I'm saying these out loud because you want to keep that in your working memory to come back to solve those 2 cells a little bit later. You come up here to row 1, and hopefully your eyes are kind of naturally going to where there's the biggest restrictions. You'll see that we don't have a 2 across row 1, but you have a 2 here in column 7 that prevents us from having a 2 anywhere else here in block 3, right? So none of these cells can be a 2. So that means this cell has to be your 2. So that's kind of an easy solves that we did with these 3s, this 6, this 2. Now let's switch over to cross-hatching. Your cross-hatching is when you're looking across the rows and columns to find hidden singles. And you might notice there's an 8 cutting across row 2 here, which allows us to solve this cell for an 8 because an 8 can't be anywhere else in block 2. And that's great for us. Next thing you might see, if we just keep here in block 2 and start with this 9 coming down, column 6, and this 9 coming down, column 4, you'll notice there's only one place left for a 9 down here in block 8. And guess what? Since we put a 9 right there, and remember, we need an 8 or 9 to fill these 2 red cells. Now we can solve the red cells. This has to be your 9, and that has to be your 8. So I wanted to show you that. Keep that working memory going, and then you can come back and make a solve later. All right, with these 2 9s here, we can make and solve for a 9 in row 7, because you remember we had a 9 and a 2. This is the only place left for the 9, so that has to be your 9, and I'll get myself out of color mode. And this has to be your 2. Awesome. And then let's look at the 1s here, okay? You got, just like this 2 prevented a 2 from anywhere else here in block 3 for row 1, this 1 prevents a 1 from being in these 2 cells here in block 3. So the only place left for a 1 in row 3 is going to be right there. And so this 1 and this 9 now have a special relationship. Since they can't be anywhere in these 3 cells, they are limited to these 2 cells in block 4. And that makes them a hidden pair. So anytime you have 2 candidates that are limited to the same 2 cells in a house, which is a Sudoku row, column, or block, then that's called a hidden pair. And it means there's no other possibilities can be for those 2 cells. And so it looks like you'd have other possibilities. Like, for example, you think a 3 can be here, but a 3 cannot be there because a 1 or 9 has to be in one of these orange cells. And what's nice is since there's only 3 possibilities left in this block, and they're all in the same column, this is a naked triple. And so I'm going to make that purple because I'm not coloring those in, but we know this is a 1 or 9. This has to be a 3, 6, or an 8. And we'll come back to 3, 6, or 8. But what it does for us, and what's really nice here, is since you know a 3 has to be one of these candidates, and you look up here and we need a 3 and a 4, The 3 acts as a pointing pair. Or a pointing candidate. So this can't be a 3. This has to be your 4, and this has to be your 3. And if you're just not familiar with what I'm saying, these terms, hidden pair and pointing pair and naked triple, I created a special free Sudoku solving guide just for you. Not only will you be able to solve puzzles like this with those strategies, but you also solve over 80% of the Sudoku puzzles you see in print. Click on the pinned comment below to get that Sudoku solving guide. And while you're at it, subscribe to Smart Hobbies and you will solve these championship puzzles without marks even better. Okay, after making these marks up here, I want to leave the colors because I want to get back and remind ourselves this is a 3, 6, 8, and this is a 1 or a 9. But to make more progress, we actually need to move over here into block 5. We're going to do some more cross-hatching. How the 4 comes down, column 5, comes up column 4, across row 4, and across row 5. Whenever you have 4 of the same candidate going into a block, you know you can solve that block because the 4 candidates will cut out 2 of the rows, 2 of the columns, and leave you just exactly 1 cell where a 4 can be. So we can solve that cell for a 4. And this will open up the 5s for us because we have the 5 here in row 4 and row 5, and this 5 coming up, column 5, the only place left for a 5 is right there. And now with these 2 5s, you'll notice we don't have a 5 up here in block 2. The only place left to put a 5 would be right there. And so this is going to create a 1, 7. And we'll be able to solve this 1, 7 actually pretty quick. So let's get back here to block 5. And you'll notice, okay, I got a 6 coming down. I got this 6 coming up. The only place left for a 6 is right there in block 5. And now this 6 and this 6 means there's only one place left for a 6 in row 5, right? Because it can't be here and it can't be here. So now you remember this is a 3, 6, 8. We can actually solve this cell for our 6. And if you come across row 5, we're looking for a 1 and 8. I got an 8 right here. So this is your 1 and that's your 8. Nice. And now this one comes down. This one cuts across. We can solve this cell for a 1. It's the only place for a 1 in block 8. And you remember what we had up here, 1 and 7? Now this has to be your 1, this has to be your 7. So if you can remember those pairs, remember those triples, you can make those solves again really quick. Okay, and with this 3 coming up, there's only one place left for a 3 here in block 5. So we can solve this cell for a 3. Now we're going to be able to finish up the purple because we got a 3 here and a 3 here. This has to be your 3 and that has to be your 8 for that 3, 6, 8. So we'll eliminate the coloring there. And remember, we solved the 3, 6, 8. And here, what do we need left? Looks like a 7 and an 8. I just solved for an 8. So what you want to do is bounce right back and solve for your 8 and solve for your 7. Nice how that works out. Then the other thing I see here is that we create what's called a full house. So what's a full house? It's when you have 8 candidates in a house. All right, when 8 candidates are in a house, you only have to solve one more. That's a full house. And you know you can solve this immediately for the last remaining candidate. In this case, that would be an 8. So we can solve that cell for an 8. And this is awesome. So what we have right here is a 2 and a 7. Can't solve the 2 and the 7 just yet, but we're going to be able to make some more progress here. What you might notice is you have 2 cells remaining here in rows 1, 2, and 3. So you can kind of look down really quick and go, can any of these cells help us out? And the 8 can help us out because the 8 can't be in any of these 3 cells. You have these 2 8s. We can solve for an 8 right here, which will create a full house for us. And now we can solve for a 5. And so we're going to be able to make some more nice solves here pretty quickly. This 5 coming down allows only one place for 5 here in block 9. So we can solve that for a 5. And now you want to carry that over and see if we can solve down in here because you have more restrictions here in rows 8 and 9. And you want some more help figuring out how to solve this part of the puzzle where you're looking for individual cells to solve. I made a single cell solving tutorial will help you spot these and solve them even quicker. Click on the link in the video that I'm putting right now if you want to check out that video. Okay, this 5 cutting across and this 5 coming down means this cell has to be a 5. And you remember there's a 7 here to finish column 1. Nice. Now we said there's a 2, 7 here, so this has got to be your 7 and that's got to be your 2. Great. And then we don't have a 2 here yet or a 4. So I know I can solve for a 2 and a 4 to finish off block 7. And now we've created an easy way to solve the rest of block 9 here, right? Because I got my 4 here. This has to be your 4, and then this is going to be your 6. Cool. So with this 6, the 6 is going to create some more restriction for us coming on up, because we don't have a 6 up here, but we know we have 2 6s in rows 1 and 3. So we can solve for a 6 here, and then pair it up and finish this full house with the 9. Nice. And now we did that, we'll look right here and go, okay, looks like we need a 4 and a 7. Well, I got my 4 already in column 8. So this has got to be a 4. That's got to be your 7. Cool. All right, what do we got here? Now with this 7 with these 2 7s mean there's only one place left for a 7 in column 6. So we'll solve for 7 there, and then we can finish up column 9, right? We need a 7, and it looks like a 9, and then we need, looks like a 1 and a 2. I have a 2 right here, so here's your 2, and here's your 1. And this is crazy, but you can go back and remember this has to be a 1 and a 9, right? I've been holding that for a long time, so I already know that's going to be your 1, and that's going to be your 9. I didn't have time to show you all my no-mark solving tricks. Check out this video to see a few more of them. If you like this content, please consider buying me a coffee through the link in the description below. I'd appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching.